Now, since Crystal Palace had appointed Oliver Glasner, it's basically things are only getting better. It feels like week on week, season on season, the club, the style of play, the results has only been going in the right direction, hasn't it? Of course, they won the cup last year, they're in Europe this year, but this summer it's not been the way Crystal Palace would have wanted. Of course, they sold star man Michael Olise last summer, who, let's just face it, was never really replaced. And this summer, they've sold Eberichi Eze again for a king's ransom, an eye-watering amount of money. But there's been no incoming transfers, and I know that there's been this kind of grey area on what European competition they'll be in this current season, which, fair enough, that does have a knock-on effect, an implication into the amount of business and the quality of business that you can do in the transfer window. But as at point of recording, the first domino has fallen. Yeremy Pino of Villareal is making his way to London, is making his way to Crystal Palace, and if you believe the reports that are out there, it feels like the first domino that's about to fall. Crystal Palace needs recruits, they need reinforcements if they're going to go on and continue the Oliver Glasner revolution going in the upward trajectory, as well as, can they do something in Europe this year and everything else. In the video today, we'll preview what Yeremy Pino offers the Crystal Palace team and what Palace fans can expect from him, as well as what are the other dominoes that might be about to fall in the shadow of him to get Palace, their squad, fully well-rounded, plug up the gaps and have them ready to compete for all the honours and all the glory that they're going to fight for this year. At any point in the video, if you do laugh, you learn, you like something or whatever, please do like and subscribe to the channel for more content like this, and get into the comment section and let me know your thoughts and feelings on the current state of the Palace squad, what they should be looking to achieve this season, and with any outstanding business, where do you think Palace need to reinforce the most. But yeah, let's just get stuck straight into this one, because Crystal Palace is a team I've had a lot of fun following from a distance, especially since the appointment of Oliver Glasner. Crystal Palace has always got a player or two in there that are really fun to watch and really exciting, and we've seen really a nice kind of mosaic of them over the last couple of years, like when they had Zaha, Eze and Olise for that couple of minutes before they started to get taken apart and whatever. But the style of play, the addition of Adam Wharton, and the way that Oliver Glasner has finessed this team with very little transfer business has been a joy to watch. Now, this is the squad as we find it at the moment before we introduce new signing Yeremy Pino. But off the back of losing Michael Olise last year, the team did lose like a real weapon, a real route to go, because Olise is so deadly from this wide right position here. We're starting to see Ismail Assar really come into his own down this side of the pitch. Another player I'm a big fan of and really happy to see. Raksaki, I can hear he's all shouting in the comment section. He's probably going to be on his way out on loan or something, so we'll just move him to the side. But between Mateta has been a revelation, of course, but between Nketiah and Edouard, Palace lost a bit of firepower last year. They weren't quite as free-flowing, and it took them a while last season to get into top gear and to start putting teams away. And Glasner is already on record as saying they're in danger of history repeating itself the way businesses went in this window. But Devaney has definitely emerged as a bit of a hero out of this opportunity. And, it's not really too much else to say about the incumbent from last year. We all know where everyone is at. Now, Yeremy Pino is not a replacement for Eberichi Eze, although he is probably going to fulfill the same sort of position in the squad in terms of supporting the striker. This is a hard-working, very technically gifted Spanish left winger, left forward, as you guys are probably going to be playing him as. And Yeremy Pino is a guy that did take all the set pieces for Villareal. This for me feels a lot more like a Michael Olise replacement versus an Eberichi Eze. But what I do think this gives the Palace attack is a bit of symmetry. Now, I don't think Oliver Glasner is a big symmetry junkie like some other managers can be, but I do think this is something that they could definitely use to their benefit, of having two players that like to play on the outside of the box, create chances and feed a striker, rather than the Eze profile of the other forward here being a guy that can drop in deep and then drive up the pitch. Yeremy Pino isn't that. Can you see him doing that sort of play? Of course you will. This is a player that was heavily linked to Aston Villa, and if you think about the way Aston Villa use their players that support the striker, Yeremy Pino has all those kind of qualities that most modern progressive managers like your Emerys and your Glasners really want. A guy that's got a really good football IQ to know that when it is times are tough, and it's backs against the wall time for the defence to get in tight and narrow, for the midfield engine room to come in and cover their shapes. This is a guy that you're going to see coming back in and helping Tyrick Mitchell in these defensive areas. Because Villareal and everything we've seen from this guy, like Villareal haven't been a widely attacking, exciting team. This year they've certainly started off like a house on fire, don't get me wrong. But that team under Marcelino is built upon and starts with the foundation of being defensively robust and being compact and tight. And Yeremy Pino comes out of a great school of thought for how to play on the ball as well as off the ball. And I think especially when it comes to the European competition, the quality and the execution of somebody like Pino from down the left and Sarr from the right is going to be a very formidable front three, a front kind of trident here that I think will embody the Oliver Glasner system very, very well. I do think there's a bit of power lost from this from both Olise and Eze. I think we would both agree that Sarr, although very effective, is not a powerful player in possession. Yeremy Pino isn't too dissimilar in that regard. So it puts even more pressure on the likes of Will Hughes and Adam Wharton to be effective and strong on the ball. I would say it adds a bit more pressure in that regard as well to the wide players, Mitchell and Munoz, and whoever else is going to rotate into midfield, whether it be Doucouré, whether it be Lerma, even Daichi Kamada. I think it just puts more pressure on their ability to now maybe carry the ball through the thirds, carry the ball up the pitch a little bit more, whereas having Eze that would be able to come in, help out and do that kind of heavy lifting. It feels like they've maybe, like last year they didn't have the Olise player, but they had Eze, and in this year they don't have the Eze player yet, but they've got the Olise player kind of back in the fold, which is something for them. So Yeremy Pino, I expect to be taking corners, free kicks, all the dead ball kind of situations here for Palace, and I think is a guy that from open play will get the Palace fans off their seat. This guy will probably sell a few shirts. I can see a few Galazzos coming his way, no doubt, as well as some worldly assists, and it's someone that Mateta should really feed off of, because again, at Villareal, Yeremy Pino is used to playing with an arrowhead forward, with a real target man, where that's the guy to find in the danger zone and do your utmost to go and get the ball to him. So I really have got a lot of confidence that this transfer is going to work. Oliver Glasner is very, very good at knowing the players he's signing and making sure he gets the most out of them. But like I mentioned, this isn't an Eberichi Eze replacement. This is a Michael Olise replacement. And this team really does need that Eze replacement. Someone that can be in the middle of the pitch, ideally have that stature and have that drive through the middle of the park. But like Glasner said, and I think maybe even Thomas Frank said something similar, the perfect replacement isn't always out and around in the market, and you need to do the best with who's available and who you've got at your own disposal. And there's a few contenders for who Palace could be bringing in to fill the Eberichi-sized hole in the team, and one of them is former Palace loanee Conor Gallagher. Now, had a very good time at Palace in the past. Of course, we all know about Conor Gallagher, very good Chelsea player when he was there, but he's been at Atletico Madrid going nowhere fast. He's maybe had some more minutes recently, but the way the Atletico Madrid team has been built, it's not with him in the middle of it, and he could be a very, very good addition into this squad. A guy that's got top-end Premier League experience, a guy that's got top-end European expectations, standards and experience, that does that same kind of role that Eze does of, getting in deep, getting your hands dirty when it matters, but also breaking ranks, covering the grass, breaking through the thirds and starting off attacks as well. So I think Gallagher would be a really good candidate to replace that Eberichi Eze role within the squad. That then could allow something like Yeremy Pino and Sarr to maybe do a bit of a job share situation where between the two of them they can complete the 90 minutes. You play one of them midweek, play one at the weekend, mix it up depending on the strength of the fixtures, that kind of thing. And then you've got more quality, more depth, more options and choice. But you'll then have more pressure put onto the Gallagher position again. And yeah, maybe Devaney can come in there. He's kind of deputised and could probably be an effective understudy at times. Kamada can kind of come in there and understudy as well, a little bit as well, of course. So there's definitely some options there, and that might just be about the business Palace do. I don't know. If it's not Conor Gallagher, it feels very much like it could be Harvey Elliott. Now, Harvey Elliott, I would love to see Palace actually sign all of these players, because I like Will Hughes as much as the next guy. You can't really fault him too much. The guy leaves everything out there and very rarely makes an error and a mistake. They do have good depth with the likes of Doucouré and Lerma, like we mentioned, who can fill in the midfield positions here. But I think Elliott is someone that would really take the team, would really take the midfield to the next level, especially working in tandem with someone like Adam Wharton, having someone like Conor Gallagher to help shoulder the load with, and then you know where your routes to goal are, you know who you're going to be attacking with. I'm not too sure Palace have got the gumption to make all of these moves. They've certainly got the finances with the players they've been selling over the last couple of windows. I don't think there's too much doubt about that. The Elliott thing could be on loan, Gallagher could be on loan. Do you want to be filling your squad up full on loan players? I don't know. I'm pretty sure the Palace fans would take Gallagher back with open arms because I think he was really good for you guys, if memory serves me right. And Harvey Elliott has got such a high ceiling and such a high reputation that if you did put him into the middle of this team, you could really see that kind of Cole Palmer effect potentially happen, where you get maybe not quite a cast off, but a guy that's not broken into one of those top 3 or 4 clubs in the country. They go down the food chain a little bit, down the ladder a little bit, become the main man, and blossom and really fulfill their potential. And then you might see that the team is really kind of moved on. They've got a bit of, maybe not a net gain from selling Olise and Eze over the last couple of windows, but I think you need to see the squad develop. You need to see the squad moving on. And if we look at the impact that would have on the Crystal Palace squad, I think it makes for really good reading. Having Pino available on the left-hand side, Sarr on the right, and in between all these options, Gallagher and Elliott being added into it to play in the middle positions or mix up those front support positions with the striker, I think is fantastic, to be honest with you. I don't think Palace could look any better except for in defence. It feels a lot like Mark Guy is going to be on his way out to Liverpool probably within this transfer window, and I really do hope that if they do lose him, they get a very like-minded, a very like-quality replacement, because he's been a very important member of the team. He will be a big loss, and this system is very dependent on that 3 at the back situation. That Lacroix, I seen he paid for everyone to get a free drink that was in row number 5 or something like that, or seat number 5, I forget what it was. So that guy's like a huge part of the team, gets the culture, gets the fans. East Mamba, big Chris Richards is a good player, of course. Riyad is injured at the moment, and I don't know if Borna Souza can cover this position. I don't know if that's what he's been signed for, or to cover Mitchell. Maybe he could, I'm not too sure, but I think that's the next thing that will be high on their agenda, is another centre-back, and maybe a bit of centre-back depth, because like you can see, they're not really got much going on there. But the other player that they are linked to, and I don't even really see where he comes into this, is other than being cover for Munoz potentially, and that is Reiss Nelson of Arsenal. Now, Arsenal owe you guys a turn for the Eze deal. I think that's only about right. And although Nelson is featured for Fulham and a few other clubs a bit more as a right winger or a final third player, in this Palace setup, especially now that Pino's in the building, they've still got Eze. Obviously, we've got Sarr, like we mentioned, Devaney coming through, maybe Gallagher and Elliott. Some of these signings could be made. I don't see where the room is for Reiss Nelson in the front line, and Nathaniel Klein is maybe seen a bit more as this kind of cover for more defence rather than on the wing with his, you know, he's getting older, isn't he, kind of thing. So I think that's the only place we could maybe see Reiss Nelson coming in. And I think that's actually quite a smart bit of business if it can be done economically. But then Palace, if, you know, the Harvey Elliott deal, however likely that is to get done, I don't know. Same with the Conor Gallagher one. I think out of the two of them, you could probably expect one of them to happen. Although for the Crystal Palace fans' sake, I think both of them would be what they need to move the team on and replace what they've lost. But with Yeremy Pino coming in to support the left forward, if Reiss Nelson comes in to support right forward, they've got maybe just about enough to go again in the league, fight around mid-table, maybe have a bit of a cup run in one of the competitions. I don't think they've got the squad to be thinking about a domestic cup and a European cup. And knowing Oliver Glasner, Europa League winner with Frankfurt, might I add, I think Palace are going to go for it in the Thursdays. I think they're going to go for it in the Conference League. And really, the addition of someone like Pino and Nelson, they'll really help. They'll go a long way to helping Crystal Palace kind of live that life, live that dream, as it were. And hopefully, if they do get this amount of business in, you know, Ollie Glasner's words that he said a few weeks ago of, you know, we're going to have a delayed start because of, and this happened last year because the business took so long to get done. I really hope for Crystal Palace's sake that's not the case. They can get more of these deals in than what is maybe expected, and they can really finish a window for once stronger than what they went into it. I don't feel that they've done that for a couple of years, despite the team actually progressing, the results getting better, and Ollie Glasner's revolution really taking swing. But yeah, it's going to be really interesting to follow. I'm excited to see Yeremy Pino in the Premier League. I think that will be a really good transfer for Palace, and let's see if the dominoes can fall in quick succession. There's not much time left before the end of the transfer window. I hope you've enjoyed the video, guys. On screen are now some other stuff that we've made that YouTube thinks you might enjoy. If you haven't done so already, please hit subscribe and the like button for more content like this. Jump into the comment section and let me know your thoughts and feelings. stay out of trouble, and I'll catch you on the next one. Take care. Bye bye.